Greetings, my friends. Welcome to the next episode of Mint Mob Podcast. This is Jason, joined by my buddy Alex across the pond over in Germany. We're going to jump into, some crazy political news, followed by what's going on in the crypto markets and talk a little bit about NFTs. So, Alex, what's going on, buddy? How are you doing?
Hey man, I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here again. Last time we had to skip the podcast. It is actually the first time. Yeah, I think last Monday did we record? I'm not even sure, but yeah, back at it again, and this time actually with some good news because checking the crypto markets, I see a lot of green. I'm actually feeling a little bit bad for my country because they sold Bitcoin at 55K, and we see it rising now. I think last time I checked, it was somewhere around 663, and it's crazy. Like it went up pretty quick, like 15%, around like 15% in what 2 or 3 days, and yeah, happy with where it's going. And I feel like now with Germany being done with selling all these bitcoins, and we have Mount Gox still like as some kind of bearish news, but once that is done, I feel like there is no stopping, and we'll see Bitcoin above 80K pretty soon. What do you think?
80K, really? Wow, that's pretty bullish.
For now, man.
Yeah?
For now.
Yeah? When are you calling a date on the 80K?
You want one? Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. I
yeah.
can call it.
Give me a date.
Let's say September.
Okay, September. So let's see, we're July. So that's like 2 months out, a month and a half away. So it's September 1st, September 30th.
Uh,
When,
let let
when,
let's go with mid September. Let's say I travel to the United States on September 22, and by that we'll have the 80K.
okay. All right. Fair enough. I like it.
What
I'll
do you
take
think?
it.
Like, what's your opinion? Would you agree, or would you say like earlier, later?
You know, I have no idea, honestly. I just know that in the long run, it wins, in the short
Come on,
run.
man, forcing me to give out a date, and now you're like, I'm not sure. Like,
I didn't force you. I just asked. Yeah,
yeah.
no, that's on you. No, I don't know. I don't have any short-term dates. I don't have a crystal ball, so I'm not gonna make speculations. But if obviously if things continue the way that they have in the past, I think I don't think you're too far off. Toward fall, winter, end of the year, September through the end of the year, we should have a nice little run up, and who knows, it could surpass 80K and reach the six-figure mark. At which case, I would be extremely happy. How about you?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm actually also very happy that, it's not just Bitcoin and ETH moving now. It's like actually the whole market. So everyone in the space should be. I haven't checked NFTs yet, man. Did they even they follow, or are they still take some time? But if NFTs pumped as well, I'd be very surprised. Okay, no, they didn't. But at least like the whole crypto market pumped. Everyone should be happy. And yeah, I mean, we are like still a few bucks away from the high we had back in March. But as I said, I feel like could go very fast now.
It could, yeah. I mean, the high was what, around 73,000. So, like you said, everything moves when Bitcoin moves, generally in lockstep, and usually the gains are bigger in the altcoins. Obviously, Bitcoin being bigger moves slower. But Bitcoin at 73 would probably put Solana back up around the $200 mark, and probably Ethereum close to the $4,000 mark. And who knows, if we pump through the 73 mark, I think that's going to be a big psychological indicator for people who think that the train is leaving the station, and they might have to jump on, and that could drive it up, into at least a short-term rally. But I'm not good at the short-term stuff. I'm just looking at the long-term trends, and I know that it's not going anywhere, and there's a limited supply. So as long as those things are true, it's definitely expecting it to continue to rise toward the six-figure mark, probably close to year-end, first of next year. So we'll see how that goes. But you're probably going to have bigger gains in the alts. I think Solana has the potential, in a big move up, especially with Bitcoin moving up. I think Solana has the potential to go into the 300s, perhaps, and even beyond. We've already hit the 200, 225 mark. So it'll be interesting to see how the alts respond. And I'm going to sit on a lot of Solana and just wait and see what happens because it'd be nice to take a nice chunk of change off the table in the next run up.
Yeah, definitely. And it's actually funny because people haven't really realized that Solana actually even broke its old all-time high market cap wise. It never had such a high market cap. I think last bull run it was like around 78, like definitely below 80. And now it was like around, let me see, 80, almost, yeah, it actually like even was 90 at some point. And yeah, inflation kicking in on with Solana. I think we're still a couple of coins away from its total supply, but yeah, I feel like in terms of price, we'll also see another. I'm not even sure what was the all-time high, 250 or something like that, right?
Yeah, it was right around 250. Yeah, so I mean, we got
250.
close to it. I mean, we went up to what 225 previously, somewhere around in there.
Yeah, it was around 225, right? I think Pine market cap is not even showing the real prices, but yeah, yeah, somewhere around that. And what I think is interesting, if I check like the last bull run and I see the amount of time it took until it actually went from what is it like 30 to 250 was like just a couple of months, and the rate at what it like was so enormously quick. It's crazy, and that's why I feel like we can see numbers, or we could see numbers that no one is actually even thinking about. Um, but in the end, you always need buyers and you always need like the liquidity in the markets, and that's where I'm still unsure of, because everyone is actually expecting his or her favorite coin to go to the moon,
Hmm.
but obviously we do not have enough money to pump like 1,000 or 10,000 coins, however how many are out there. We cannot pump each coin and make like 100x or something. So let's see who's still standing at the end of the next bull run, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think Solana's all-time high was 260.06 in US dollars, according to what I'm looking at. So 260 would be the upper, the high mark on that. But again, like if I think if you look back when Bitcoin hit 73, Solana was up over 200s as well. So I think we just need Bitcoin to continue to shine, and if it does, then that'll put some impetus on people buying the alts because the returns are generally greater on the alts. And of course, the volatility is as well. I mean, we've seen it go from, the 120s to 220 just in the last couple months, which is insane volatility. But it's beautiful volatility if you understand how to trade it, and you pull a little bit off the top and buy again at the bottom. Like I've kind of mentioned that I've been doing over the past 5 or 6 months. You can pick up some extra tokens that way and multiply your gains. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I really think Solana is gaining traction over Ethereum in terms of becoming like the number two chain just because of price of transactions and usability. And with Ethereum, its model shifting from proof of work to proof of stake last year or whenever it was, 14 months ago. I guess they took a good year to roll out the change. But I think that was a huge mistake for them, and it really shifted the interest level. And I think now that you have Solana the Solana development community kind of coming on really strong with speed improvements with the phone, with different applications for business and artwork. I don't really see a need for Ethereum at this point. It's just another staking platform really. And anytime you have a staking platform, it can be duplicated virtually by pretty much any chain out there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think that was a huge mistake for Ethereum to shift over, and I think it's shown in the sort of outlook that people have toward the chains. So I mean, why Ethereum when a Solana does the same thing cheaper, and it's also a proof of stake chain? Basically, it doesn't make any sense to me.
What do you think? Like, do you think Ethereum can keep up with all the other coins, especially Solana in the future? Especially like looking at its technology, because in the end, the question would be if it cannot, will it still be some kind of store of value for people, or will people like just keep selling it and it goes down?
Let me pull up one quick little stat here. Let's see. Okay, so initially, the thing that Ethereum had going for it was that it was basically a Bitcoin fork. It was a Bitcoin fork that basically did other things. Not a fork in the sense that they were using the same code base, but a fork in the sense that they took the idea and expanded upon it, right? Like you had Bitcoin being sort of the OG chain, and then Ethereum came in and said, well, we want to do all this programming stuff on top of Bitcoin, and you won't let us. So therefore, we're going to branch off and do our own thing over here, and we're going to run with that and create a smart contract platform. Okay, cool. Smart contracts are born, and Ethereum shoots off, and this is all happening under the proof of stake, or I'm sorry, the proof of work model. And under the proof of work model, if my memory serves, Ethereum had a maximum supply of 210,000 or 210 million. So you had Bitcoin with 21 million and Ethereum with 10 times that at 210 million. Now that they've switched to proof of stake, there's no limit to the max supply, right? And this is the same thing that's the challenge with Solana. Solana has no real maximum supply. They both inflate at a certain rate. And of course, you burn the tokens when you do transactions and that sort of thing, or at least you pass them back and forth to different people. So as long as there's an inflation, I'm not really sure that that's a good thing for Ethereum as it relates to competing with Solana. Because like I said, basically they turned Ethereum into a more expensive version of Solana, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So I think the shift from proof of work to proof of stake was a massive mistake and misstep on their part, miscalculation. It also centralizes the platform when you have proof of stake, and it also benefits your largest holders because they can obviously stake more and earn more interest than smaller holders very quickly over time. And so with Ethereum, having its pre-mine, Solana having its pre-mine and paying out its investors, these guys, if they choose to stake, you can basically never overtake them unless you just have unlimited liquidity. So I don't think proof of stake was of benefit, and I do think Ethereum can continue to be a store of value because it has basically first mover advantage over Solana. It's older, it has a greater reputation in the art world, a greater reputation in the code base world. But I think what we're seeing is this stuff slowly shifting away. So I think Ethereum sort of handicapped themselves when they made the switch and caused their developers and their communities to start looking at other chains. And so I don't think it has the potential that it once had.
Okay, so sorry. So I guess you're not holding a lot of Ethereum, right?
I'm holding, I'm holding as many as I had initially, but I haven't been buying any. Right. So I've only been accumulating Bitcoin and Solana. I haven't accumulated any more Ethereum. I have some of my Ethereum staked, and I'm just sitting on it. And, I bought tokens. I bought my first Ethereum tokens I bought when it was $30, and I didn't buy that many, just 5 or 6. I don't know, maybe 10 or 12. And then I bought again when it, after the run up and it hit 800, I bought some Ethereum at 800. So I'm not sitting on that many Ethereum. I have maybe 30, 35 Ethereum. I don't even know. So it's not a huge part of my portfolio. And I've been acquiring Bitcoin and Solana at a much faster rate just because I feel like Solana has much more upside than Ethereum does now. And I feel like Bitcoin is basically what I would call more pristine collateral. And pristine collateral, basically, when you have pristine collateral, you have less volatility. And if you're in acquisition wealth development mode, you want volatility. So I'm sitting on the Bitcoin as sort of a base. My Ethereum's just sitting there earning interest and multiplying itself. And then my Solana, I'm accumulating along with Bitcoin, thinking that the Solana probably has a 2x, 3x, 4x still in it over the next year and a half, 2 years. And at that point, I'd pull some off the table and reinvest after a pullback. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. But no, not acquiring Ethereum. just sitting on what I have. I have enough money tied up in Ethereum right now.
But but what do you think is going to happen NFT wise? Because Ethereum got all these high fees, we know that, but that was somehow also an advantage because it that resulted in many people staying away. All these guys wanting free shit, and if you hold that whole free mint meta and making quick flips, that wasn't it definitely felt like that wasn't as bad on Ethereum as on Solana. So, do you feel like there will be a shift as well?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. I think it has to shift, right? So like if you think about what it takes to get involved in an NFT project now versus what it took in 2020 or 2021, the bar has already been raised. It's going to cost you more. It's going to cost you a lot more time, energy, and effort as well because of competition in the marketplace. And if you're not willing to stand in the fire and take the slings and arrows that are going to come your way when you say, listen, I'm not selling to everybody, I just want a certain number of people, then that's going to make it even harder for you because now you have to deal with some of the negativity that comes from that and the pressure that comes from holders who just want the number to go up. So I think what we're going to see is a massive consolidation, and this generally happens after the fall in pretty much any market. When you have a lot of competitors on the ride up, and then as it gets more expensive to compete in both time, energy, effort, and money, then you see these competitors fall away and they just abandon their stuff. And then you have a period of consolidation where quality projects go around and pick up all the pieces. Kind of like we've started to do with Soul Rockers and DAG, like we're picking up these different pieces and we're going to pick up many, many more. And, ultimately what that does is it flushes out all the people who weren't really committed to begin with and the people who didn't really understand how much work and time it was going to take. Like there was no 10-year commitment to the project. It was just a 10-minute commitment to, making sure the mint ran off okay. But after that, it's like, okay, well, what do we do? So the consolidation period is going to be where a lot of these abandoned assets either stay abandoned because you can't get in touch with whoever, launched them in the first place, or they start getting acquired or sold off or traded off to other people who care. And, in a positive spirit whereby these founders who walk away want to make sure that their community isn't completely screwed like so many of them are. So like if you're a founder and you want to walk away, reach out to us because what we'll do is we'll bring your people in and we'll take good care of them, right? And we'll take those assets on and we'll manage the artwork and the IP rights and make sure that everybody's taken care of. That's what we're here to do. So if you're hearing this and you want to walk away, do that. Don't leave your people holding NFTs that they don't have IP rights to, that they don't have access to, that are locked up in staking and all the rest of it. That's just a really shitty thing to do. So in the consolidation period, some people will expand, like that's our basic MO, but the vast majority of the non-believers and the uncommitted will fall away, and then you'll just be left with the people who care. And ultimately that's what's going to happen. So NFT wise, in a bull market for tokens, probably NFT floor prices go down while nominal prices go up because the value of the tokens that they sit in has gone up, right? And vice versa. If the nominal price of the token comes down, then the NFT price can rise because now you're pricing it in whatever your local currency is and you translate that over and it's like, okay, well, it makes more sense to pay 2 Sol for something that I would have paid, zero point 0.5 Sol for when Sol was more expensive. So there's sort of an interplay there, like an interplay around that dynamic of when the token is high, what do I want, right? Do I want more token or do I want more NFTs? Which do I want? And people are going to gravitate toward what's most valuable is basically what happens. So after that consolidation period ends and we're left with who's actually going to be in the game and stay in the game and push to actually create, that's when the real fun begins. That's when you start to see innovation. That's when you start to see really cool things happening.
Yeah, man, I totally agree. And as you just also mentioned, Soul Rockers, I wanted to lose a few words about them because I, I always loved the art very much. I think it was so cool when I saw it, and I was so happy about acquiring it. But what I did a couple of days ago is I actually went to Magic Eden, and you know besides looking at it, like when I saw it on Discord or when we had postings about it, I actually went through the whole collection and looked at every single piece, and the art is actually so great. It's even better than I expected because, you know, like I said, I liked it very much from the very beginning. But when you actually see what they did, like with the backgrounds, these gold records they have, like this fire breathing and everything, it's actually such a cool art. Have we ever given shout outs to the artist? Do we know who it is?
Yeah, I know who the artist is. Excuse me, sorry. It's a guy out of Spain, actually, or I think Spain. And I want to say, let's see, I'm trying to remember his name. We can reach out to him and, I don't know, maybe have a conversation with him. But he did such a fantastic job of creating those characters. And I mean, that collection is basically 8 collections because you have 4 different band members, a drummer, a bassist, a guitarist, and a singer. And then you have each of those in male and female. So you had a male singer, a female singer, male drummer, female drummer, like all through the line. So you basically had 8 different collections that were released inside that one collection, which was really well done. And as you said, the artwork is super detailed, which is one of those things that really drew me to the Art of Mob OG pieces that we now own as Goodfellas, because the detail and the texture, like you could tell that there was a lot of energy and effort that went into creating those pieces. And that's one of the reasons I was super happy that we were able to acquire that collection and pick it up. So, preserving that is really important. But yeah, the gentleman who created it is a cartoonist, I believe, as a professional cartoonist. Like they hired like a really well-known dude, super high-end dude. And I think if we reached out to him, he'd probably be willing to maybe do a podcast with us or talk a little bit about the artwork. It'd be kind of cool to see that happen for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love that. I'd love to get in touch with him and talk about some stuff. Maybe collaborate again. That would be great. Yeah, but we all know we are actually a podcast about NFTs and crypto, but we always also take a look at politics. And there was actually a pretty big, I don't want to call it event, but there was actually a pretty big thing happening in the United States. Most of you guys have probably heard of it. I think everyone heard of it, of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, and who actually, or luckily, survived and is healthy and good. Yeah, what's your opinion on that? On X there are always like these conspiracies coming out, and we know the guy who did it. Obviously, it was some American dude. He was American, right? I'm not even sure about that, but he looked American. A guy who was kind of isolated from the society. It felt like he was not having a lot of friends, and it's always the same. It feels like it's always like a similar story with people who do that kind of stuff. But yeah, what are your thoughts? How did you actually find out about that?
I was working at our rental property over the weekend and basically missed the entire thing. We were heads down. We have tenants moving in, I think tomorrow. And so we were trying to finalize this renovation. And, we took a break and I just happened to pick up my phone and I saw this, crazy image. My wife saw this image of Trump with like a smear of blood across his face. And I was like, it's fake. What is that? I figured it was just some meme that someone had created, because everybody, or not everybody, but so many people hate Donald Trump, or at least they claim to. And so we started looking closer and then realized that it was he had been shot basically in the ear. And when he touched his ear, the blood got on his hand and he kind of wiped his mouth. And so he wiped blood across the side of his face. And so then we realized it was real. And, my whole thought on the situation was, okay, here we go. It's like everyone talks about wanting to do great things and wanting people to unite and this and that and the other thing, so long as it's their person that's doing the uniting and it's their person who's talking about doing great things. And so it just points to the fact that there's a tremendous divide in the population, one that I think was created largely by leftist politicians. And unfortunately, this is the result of, I think, young people being sort of radicalized by these ideologies And I don't think anyone will ever know the truth of why this kid, this name was Thomas Matthew Crooks. I don't think anyone will ever know the reason why or how this all came to be, in 100%. But when you look at the event as a whole, if you're familiar with firearms at all and you've ever shot, you'll realize that, shooting at 100 yards or just over 100 yards, which isn't that much different from meters. So like if you're over in Europe, it probably would have been like 120 meters that this kid was away from the podium, and he was on an elevated position on top of a building. This isn't a difficult shot, right? It's not, especially with modern rifles and modern optics. So, if you got a rifle with a scope on it, basically you can sight it in at 100 yards. That's pretty standard. Or 100 meters is pretty standard. So from where he was shooting, a lot of people hunt from that distance. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't like this, incredibly awesome shot where this kid had to calculate wind direction and bullet drop. It was a fairly standard shot. So the fact that Trump just happened to turn his head at the right moment, it's like the stuff of legend, man. Like, this guy is like unstoppable, right? Like, he just says the most bombastic things. He's always talking his book. He's always talking himself up. And then someone takes a shot at him and they miss, but they actually hit him in the ear, right? And had he not turned his head, he would have been hit in the back of the skull. And now you've got the Secret Service storming the podium with this one female Secret Service agent who's like a foot shorter than Trump. So she's not even covering him up. And then, they basically dogpile him. And then he stands up and he throws a fist in the air. Like, you missed me, motherfucker. Right? It's like the most badass, legendary story that you could possibly imagine. Right? Like, it's hard to imagine that this isn't some sort of movie script. Like, who does this happen to? Donald Trump, right? And so I think, in a lot of ways, it sort of sealed his victory for a lot of people. Because I think people on the fence would now see, sort of the dementia that's happening on the left-hand side of the aisle, at least on the far left. And I think that would kind of push them over. But we'll see what happens, man. It's going to be interesting, a very interesting election to see how it plays out. But I think a lot of people here feel like because he survived this assassination attempt, that it basically just solidified his victory and made him that much stronger. And in comparison to Biden, who can't even complete a sentence, you've got this one guy who projects well, who's in good shape, is very sharp mentally, is a good speaker, bombastic guy, who has now survived an assassination attempt against a dementia patient who can't even walk across a stage without falling, right? So on some level, if Biden wins the election, you have to wonder, okay, who's counting these votes here? Because I can't see Americans who, whether they are or not actually strong anymore, voting for someone who that they don't see as strong or they don't see as carrying strength. It just doesn't make any sense. And if that's the case, and more Americans actually end up voting for the weak guy, then I think it speaks volumes for young people and how weak and how weak-minded they've become at the hands of government schools. So that's kind of my hot take on it. There's a lot to dive into there. But that's my first impression without going too deep into it.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't go too deep into politics because people have different opinions about that. But I'm definitely happy that he survived, that he's good. It actually puts him in a league with 50 Cent and Pac now because surviving a assassination attempt is definitely a thing most of us have not witnessed yet, luckily. But yeah, is it actually bad that I want him to be president because he's so entertaining? I'm not sure if that's a good thing, but as you mentioned, like the alternative is so much worse. So yeah, couldn't be more excited for November. But let's jump a little bit into the Goodfellas now. I think we've talked a little bit about it the last time on Spaces. News actually haven't changed, but in case you guys haven't heard it yet, for you again, we will have the next batch mint on August 5th. That's actually the plan. We hope it's not going to change. And have we agreed on an artist incubator date yet? I'm not sure about that. I don't think we have, right? But we wanted to have that earlier than the batch mint.
Yeah, we want to have an artist incubator mint before month end, and then have the batch mint that first week of August in celebration of our 1 year mint anniversary. So I guess you could say we were born on August 5th in some ways, because that was when we minted the ordinals. So, but yeah, no hard date yet. We've got the mint passes out. We need to distribute those and get those over to the artist and get her help with promo. So that's kind of where we're at with that. And those NFTs have yet to be created. So I'm going to get those created this week. I got to get this rental property finalized today and tomorrow. And then the rest of this week, I'll be finalizing Goodfellas next mint, next AI mint, and then of course jumping into the batch mint that's happening on the 5th. So that's in a nutshell where we're at with that.
Yeah, that's great. I'm looking forward to that, especially when you do the magic again and create some great one-of-one pieces and a new trade and everything. Do you already have an idea about for that?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely have an idea for that. One of the traits has been inspired by guest user 17, obviously one of our community members. And I'm excited to drop that. I don't want to reveal it because I want it to kind of be a surprise. But he should know what it is, man, honestly, because he's only posted a few interesting images in the Discord timeline. And if we went back through some of those images, he could probably pick it up, because it's a pretty obvious trait pretty obvious that it could be a hand trait that we've never used, especially since we have this sort of Italian tie to the Italian culture, right? So that'll be a pretty strong hint for anyone paying attention to the timeline. But yeah, that's going to be awesome. And then it's for one of ones, man, like the whole Trump thing with the 4th of July thing with, like everything going on. There's so much rich material, from doing like an Uncle Sam to doing like a Trump to doing all kinds of stuff, dude. So, I mean, that's going to be a rich one. It should be a lot of fun to get done. But yeah, I've definitely got some ideas, some super cool ideas. I actually think it'd be really fun around election time, which is November 3rd or 4th, whatever it is, November 2nd. I think it'd be really fun to do a mint, like a public mint on Magic Eden, where we have people vote, and we have NFTs of Trump, NFTs of Biden, and NFTs of JFK. And then we just let people mint the one that they think that they would vote for, and we see our election results. I think that'd be a really fun mint,
Yeah, definitely. And mentioning guest users' idea for the hand trade, it's not an idea, but his impact and his. I actually have an idea what you do. You haven't told me yet, but I'm a wild guessing after the call. We also have to give a little shout out to our beautiful Yvette. Oh, I've never seen her, but I guess she's beautiful because she's a Goodfellas member. So she has also created something for us. Have we already revealed that? Have we talked about that already?
We started talking about it. Obviously, I haven't shown anything to anyone yet, but yeah, we have started talking about it. And she's going to be doing some backgrounds for us. As most of you guys know, the OG artwork has basically solid color backgrounds, which are really cool. They're brightly colored and they work really well with the artwork that's so detailed. But it's nice to throw a little bit of visual interest in there. So we're going to see if we can incorporate some of her background work into the next batch. And then, of course, because she is a community member and an artist, we're obviously going to compensate her for her work and make sure that she's well taken care of, just like we do with every artist that we work with. So we're looking forward to getting that into the world and adding those pieces, into the overall collection as fresh backgrounds. It should be really interesting to see how that works out.
Yeah, definitely. So currently we are doing some paperwork in the background, doing some agreements and everything. If some NFT project owners are listening, you guys have probably no idea what we are talking about, but that's what you should do if you actually run a sustainable and long-term project. And yeah, I have to say sorry because my sound is probably not that good today. Unfortunately, our program rugged us a little bit, and I have to use my phone. Which is almost running out of, like, my battery's almost dead. So we have to come to an end. Do you have anything important to say left?
Everything I say is important, man. What's that supposed to mean? Nah, I get it, man. Yeah. We did get a little bit of a late start today. We had Telegram. We do this over Telegram, and it was rugging us today. So yeah, we probably burned up a lot of phone battery just trying to get everything set up. So no worries, man. Definitely the sound wasn't as good as it normally is, but it should be passable.
Okay, perfect. So, thank you everyone for listening again. Looking forward to Spaces on Friday, and this should be it for today. Thank you and bye bye.
Take care, guys. See you in the next one.